Alright, welcome back to Let's Play Fall of Cybertron. So right over here, we're going to pick up a new utility tech weapon. It is a, I don't even know what to call this thing. It's basically a black hole generator. And it's a, like I said, it's a one-time use thing, and it basically kills any and every enemy in its blast radius, any small enemy that can be destroyed by it. It's obscenely overpowered, and I typically don't use it. It's nice for clearing out that encounter right here as we're leaving the nerve center, but I typically just think it's a bit of a cheap way of ending an encounter quickly, so I thought I'll try it out more often though. I need to use it a bit more often though. There's a few of these utility tech things I've really been neglecting, really. Mainly been trying to stick to the weapons themselves, but I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate a new heavy weapon here, the A4 Pulsar Cannon, which is one of my favorite heavy weapons that is not too overpowered. It's pretty balanced, but doesn't carry a lot of ammo, unfortunately. I'm going to try to dash my way over into that vent we opened up just by now by shooting it. And despite not having double jump, we can still make it over there. I'm not sure if there was any blueprints or audio diaries over here, because again, I already have all the blueprints for all the weapons. I have mostly all the audio logs, but there's a clutch over here, so we're going to pick that up. The clutch is basically a, as I've said in the last video, I think it's a little sentry that floats around and shoots things for you, so it's pretty nice. I'll demonstrate that a little bit later as well. But the A4 Pulsar Cannon is basically a combination between the Magma Frag Launcher from the first game and the Plasma Cannon from the first game, in the sense that instead of it fires in a straight line and the projectile fires at the same speed as the Plasma Cannon, but you manually detonate it like with the Magma Frag Launcher, and it deals explosive damage. And it's really nice in that regard because you don't have to worry about the decaying arc of the Magma Frag Launcher. So it's really nice. It flies in a straight line and it has pretty much infinite range. It'll stick to a target and you can manually detonate it, which is awesome. You can also fire off all 3 shots in the clip and then detonate them all at once, if you so choose to. Or you can fire them and detonate them in rapid succession. So it's pretty nice. This encounter can be pretty tricky if you get down there. There's also tons of exploding barrels to exploit down there if you so chose to. But up here with the photon burst rifle gives us a huge advantage, and we can sort of just lob these grenades in their general area that they're taking cover behind and just blow them out of that way. Great combination of weapons, but like I said, I don't claim that my weapon choice for any particular part of this game is going to be ideal for the best possible way to handle a certain given scenario. It's just whatever I feel like demonstrating at the time, or whatever I thought was a good idea. There probably are better strategies had I test played this game enough to come up with them. But I like to think I know what I'm doing, for the most part.
Keep the pressure on.
Luckily, all the new weapons are awesome. There's not really a single weapon, or there might be a handful that are kind of weird and they're a little bit situational, and I'll demonstrate what I mean when I get around to using them. But I keep forgetting to swap around my camera, and that would have been useful in taking cover over there. I was thinking that feature was going to be nearly useless, though, that camera swapping thing, but it turns out it actually is pretty handy. And going off of war, there's really not a whole lot of times where you think you need that in war, but in this it's like you can, because you have it, you might as well use it, and you don't really forget about it that much. But just gonna go and refill my ammo there. I want to keep my setup currently as I have it. Try not to exploit too many new weapons right away. We got the whole rest of the game going on, so I'm not gonna try to get all the weapons out of the way immediately. There might be some that I'll hold out on until much later. Namely, some of the weapons that would be way too overpowered to have right now that we're not supposed to have the blueprints for. But yeah, I like all the new weapons. I was worried about how I was going to like the new balancing with the fact that the weapons have been categorized, and you can only have certain combinations of weapons. There are a few weapons that I don't like how they've been changed, or I wish I had the original weapon instead of the spiritual successor to it, but that's only a handful of cases. For the most part, I really like the way they've done the weapons in this game. Oh, snap.
Optimus,
what the hell is that? New enemy type is a Leaper, and it is basically the replacement for the Brutes from the previous game, in the sense that you can only really damage them by hanging them in the back. in their thrusters there. That's their critical hit point. They still take damage regularly, as I'll be demonstrating later, but I think we actually get an achievement for saving that guy right there. I've already done it before, of course, though.
I'm fine, Preceptor.
Anyway, this pretty much makes my point I was going to make about this game earlier when I said that a lot of the enemy types you fight in this game are very sort of bizarre, like non-humanoid robots, and it gives a very sort of Armada game style feel. You're not really fighting regular infantry, you're fighting these weird alternate robots. But which the first game did not have. The first game actually felt like a proper war. And the fact that the enemy soldiers actually used their alt modes. Needless to say, all of the enemy types that are really weird looking but are really creative in this game, they're all really fun to fight though. And Leapers is definitely a great example of that. They are incredibly fun to fight. So I've activated these little jump pads here. They actually don't work as well as I'd like them to. We can't really jump down into them. It works weirdly. This part can be a little bit tricky up here because you want to get over there, but there's a ton of exploding barrels over there. And there's a bunch of leapers going to come down on you while you're up here, so you might want to just retreat down to the lower level where you fought the ones previously. Or unless they decide to launch you down here. Yeah, you definitely want to keep your eyes open when you're fighting these guys, because they can come down and hit you from behind and instantly kill you hard if they hit you the right way. But, or at least knock out your shields and most of your health, at least. So you gotta be careful of that. If you're facing the right direction, they're actually pretty easy to dodge. Go. Yeah, the Scatter Blaster is really awesome with the incendiary upgrade to it. It's actually pretty effective against these guys. Yes, the Scatter Blaster is the perfect example of what I was talking about a weapon that's pretty much... Oh, we burned him to death. Awesome. Pretty much the perfect example of a weapon that has been only improved in this version of the game as opposed to the first one. I mean, it was okay in the first one, but I really didn't like it in the campaign. But now I really like the Scatter Blaster. It has a massively huge clip, thanks to one of the upgrades. And the damage it deals is greater relative to the enemies we're fighting, so...
It appears to be working.
But the double barrel shotgun weapon, I wish they could have just left it as a shotgun instead of changing it to what it actually is. But more than that, we actually get to use that weapon. That's a weapon that they don't really like giving you all that much. It's kind of a rare weapon.
Rocket system is online. Code looks pretty rusty.
Anyway, I'd probably like to switch back to the photon burst rifle whenever I can.
I'll find some Decepticons to try it out on.
Or maybe move on to a new weapon.
More Decepticons! Hold them here, Autobots!
Nope, looks like we're going back to the photon burst rifle. And again, this is another perfect encounter for it. But after we cleared out that area, we now have access to the mortar cannons, and we can use them. That's Optimus Prime's ability for this level. Like I said, every character has one innate ability they can use, and they have it throughout that entire level pretty much, except for Optimus, who has to gain his throughout the level. So we can basically hold down the right bumper and call out a laser pointer that will mark a target for the airstrikes, or the mortar strikes, whatever you want to call it. And there's a giant Decepticon vehicle over there called a Marauder, and we're going to use it on that. Really, you can. I'm pretty sure you can fight the Marauders normally, but there's really no reason to. I mean, you can just use the ordnance on them.
Shields are holding for now, but it's just a matter of time.
Help is on the way, Ironhide.
You can activate more defensive weapons. Move back through the engine room.
Basically, what they expect you to do is just use the ordnance on them anyway.
On my way.
Over here, we're going to find one of my favorite weapons in the game. Oh, yes. The X-18 Scrapmaker. Much more reliable than the X-12. And like I said, it's one of my favorite weapons in the game. It looks awesome, too. I think the thing I like about it the most is the sound effect that it makes. The X12 Scrapmaker was great too, but I think this is a great improvement on it. And there's not that many great upgrades for it, but one of the upgrades we got for it that's most crucial is increased accuracy, because this thing would spread all over the place, just like the X12. But the increased accuracy at range means that it's very effective overall, even at medium-long range. So it's a very versatile weapon now, and it's one that I like in pretty much any situation in this game. It's awesome. I'll be demonstrating it soon. And this is one of the weapons that you have in your armory at Teletran 1 almost immediately at the beginning of the game. You have this, the rocket launcher, and the slingshot as your three heavy weapons you can equip right at the beginning of the game. You don't need to find the blueprints for. So I have no regrets showing this off so early because it is available right away to you. Maybe I should do like an alternate run of this game where I acquire everything as I go. Maybe that one won't be on hard. It'll be my hardcore run, and I'll have like the casual run where I can show you where everything is. I'll think about it. This game is very replayable.
Are you controlling this room remotely?
No. What do you mean?
The room is shifting.
I am noticing a strange power surge in your area. Could be related to the energon you redirected.
Curious. Now, as awesome as these sequences look, it's times like this that are, in my opinion, the biggest flaw with this game, is the times where the game just has you with a lack of control over it. They just take controls away from you and say, nope, can't hit weapons right here, can't transform right here, can't jump right here, can't sprint right here. Only because they want to show you something cool. And the first game wasn't like that. The first game didn't even have a tutorial. It was just like, cutscene in the game. And that was awesome for that.
The power is out.
The schematic shows an access panel nearby. You should be able to force it open.
Help us! We need backup! Ah!
Looks like these guys can use some help down here. See, there's a scatter blaster in there that could be useful in this encounter, but I really want to keep my distance from these upcoming enemies, so...
Listen in as I execute your friends.
Starscream.
Oh look, it's Starscream. Still voiced by Sam Riegel, still awesome.
Don't expect
Anyway, we have a new enemy type, Decepticon Shotgunners. These guys are very tough. That was totally badass there, by the way. Yeah, you can see why I love the X18 Scrapmaker. It's awesome. But I definitely want to keep my distance from these guys, because in like 2 shots they can kill me. They are very, very powerful, and they have incredibly tough armor as well. So using a shotgun against them is really not a good idea, because that would involve you getting too close. So these 2 weapons I have right here are actually pretty effective against them, as long as you can keep their distance. So I think I did a pretty good strategy there of backing up into the hallway and letting them funnel in at you. Optimus is a badass in this game, as per usual.
No.
Optimus, what's going on?
I couldn't save them.
Remember the Ark. If we
Don't worry, guys. I'll be using the
there's
X18
no
Scrapmaker a lot more as the game goes on.
Forced Perceptor. You're right. I'm
That
heading to the
Starscream
neutron
sword.
gun now.
I like that Starscream actually has swords in this game. It's a nice touch.
Perceptor, I can see the Ark just ahead.
You don't get to
Thank
use it in the
Matrix,
gameplay,
it's
but
still
whatever.
Standing.
Be careful approaching the neutron gun controls, Optimus.